For those of you that I haven't high-fived with in person, my name is Coitt Kessler, and I'm on the customer success side with DroneSense, retired Austin firefighter, along with my co-host here, which will help him introduce himself here in a second. Um, Today, we're going to be working on large-scale events, and hopefully be able to provide you guys some tools to be able to use this software and use your people in a way that we've found to be pretty helpful. One of the things I tell everybody is, after spending 8 years as a program manager with the Austin Fire Department's team, I've learned a lot of things the hard way, and so here to share all those lessons learned and to be able to pass them on, and here to be able to do this with one of my besties, Jason Burnside. Jason, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, thanks, Coitt. Hey, everyone. My name is Jason Burnside. I'm a firefighter with the Austin Fire Department, and I'm also the program manager for the Austin Fire Department's Robotics Emergency Deployment Team, Red Team for short. Behind me is firefighter Nathan Cooper. He's my XO, a right-hand man. Couldn't do this without him. And yeah, we're excited today to talk about everything with special events and large-scale operations.
Jason, thanks for you and Nate and the rest of the team for keeping this thing going.
Yeah, man.
We invited Jason and Nate onto this. One is because they're known quantity, right? I know what they're capable of. Jason's going to share what they do here on a regular basis with you as we go through this presentation, and also they're really good at what they do. So because they get so many opportunities to practice, they're in the Central Texas area, primarily Austin, but Central Texas area. They get a lot of reps on large scale events, which is something that's really challenging for all of us. It's being able to put one piece of plastic in the sky. Not so bad. In fact, that's the easy part, right? Is getting that data from that one drone to somebody to make a decision. That there's a lot of value there. But to be able to get multiple drones in the air and get that data back to somebody, that takes a lot of skill, and it takes a lot of reps, and it takes us communicating with one another and helping one another out. So we're gonna fly through this presentation. I wish it was a couple hours long. It's going to go by quick. Be sure to jot down some questions. We'll answer them at the end. At the end of the presentation, you're going to have 4 different QR codes to scan. So be ready towards the end of when we get to almost the top of the next hour, be 4 QR codes to scan. And we're going to send you home with some tools for you to be able to go over the PowerPoint at home. And then you can share that with the rest of your team or friends. There'll be a review for this class. I'm asking you guys, please review it, because we need to know what you need in the future. You're going to have one to get credit for this course, so you'll actually get a certificate, and then the 4th one is going to be a contact QR code that will drive you back to both Jason and I, which means to the rest of our community, to be able to help everybody out. None of us are doing this alone, guys. So know that whatever we have is yours. And with that, I am going to get into our slide deck. Jason, how are you seeing that right now? Is it coming across?
Yeah, full screen looks good.
All right. So large scale events. And again, folks, for those that are new to this webinar, the basic training group, we do this every 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks, same time, same place. Be sure that you register for this. We're going to go throughout for the remainder of this year. We got a lot of topics we're going to be covering. Today's large scale events. So looking at large scale events, we're going to talk today about the basics. This is just going to be our goal here. We're going to be going over the basics. We're going to be talking about how to maximize this software, because that's going to be, I think it's why you're all here, is to understand how to take what we do every day and be able to use the software to make it better. And then, and then we're going to, at the very end of this, we're going to provide you that link through a QR code for this multi-aircraft flight line operations. Jay, do you want to speak to how we came up with this and why we have this presentation for everybody?
Yeah, so back in 2020, if everybody can think back to that time, there was a lot going on. And Austin was no stranger to the civil unrest that was kicking off all across the country. This was a time in which we had a lot of different public safety UAS programs across the Austin region, but we had yet to work on a level that we were about to work on. Once 2020 kicked off, we were having persistent need for UAS observation in the Austin area, and we very quickly realized that there was going to be no one team that could handle this. We had not really prepared for something on the scale of keeping track of an entire downtown region. And so we very quickly partnered with our other public safety UAS programs, and we are very fortunate in Central Texas to have some just absolute home runs. We got together with, I think, 5 or 6 different agencies and got in a room together face to face. And we hammered out on DroneSense a airspace for the downtown region. And we flew that in concert with one another for the better part of 3 months. So that is where, I mean, we learned a ton in those 3 months. And much of that knowledge is here in this presentation. And, this really set us up for how we operate and continue to operate year after year with our large scale events here in Austin. So we wanted to share this with you guys and, understand that, this is how we have found things to work well. We don't have all the answers, but this certainly is a lot of information that we are bringing to you that we learned the hard way.
Learned the hard way. A lot of hours. We and to Jason, we flew over 3,000 flights during that time period. So you can imagine how much we learned in that short period of time with 3,000 flights. Well, why does this keep doing this? Here we go. I am going to, so when we go through, this is what you'll have when you scan this QR code at the very end. We're not going to go through the details here, but these are, again, to Jason's point, these are things that we learned the hard way, is how to run a flight line, not fly a drone, not flying a drone and get information back to the command, but how to run a flight line. So multiple aircraft operations. So in this, you're going to see, well, there's going to be some videos that will be embedded. You're going to see information on equipment. We have a mission ready package document that's attached to this. So you'll be able to pull up an MRP and use that, copy and paste, send it to somebody else. All we ask is that you share this with other people. But this mission ready package is a nice punch list. So when you go out the door for a large scale event, you have everything you need. And this is just information on considerations that we have to have in a large scale flight operation. Positions, guys, if you haven't gotten to this point, this is where UAS operations really start. Like, this is where you really take that next big jump, is flight line positions. Flying the drone, easy. Being a visual observer, even easier. Being a data specialist, be able to get all that information to you and then send that back out to the boss. Now there's a lot in that, and we are just starting to all learn as a community how to make that happen. Landing zone manager, when you have more than a couple drones flying at a time, and when we were running those 3,000 flights, our flight line alone always had a minimum of 4 drones flying. 4. 2 went out as they were getting low on batteries. 2 would exchange in the air and come back. So we always have persistent situational awareness on whatever it was that we were looking at. You got to have somebody manage the flight line. It's so critical. And then you have to have a mission specialist, which coordinates that information back to command. So we know that what's coming through is what command needs. And you'll see there's the term mission specialist. Be thinking DHS. Mission specialist is defined as in DHS. Module leader is defined in NWCG or Department of Interior, right? So these are our two different federal aid groups that actually have defined a title, mission specialist and module leader, and they're the same words, but most of us out in the field use the term air boss. So just keep that in mind as we're going through this presentation. I'm not going to go dig into this. I just want you guys to know that this is all spelled out to help you better understand what these positions are and why they are important. So data specialist, flight line takeaways. This is, man, guys, you got to remember a place, you got to have food, you have to have drink, and you got to have a place to poop, period. Right? You got to take care of your people. I hope you're laughing on the other side of this right now. You have got to, you got to know RF separation. So you'll see these tables. We actually have 3 tables purposely built, the chargers in between, because we don't want all of our pilots right next to each other. So the 2 that are flying are on the outsides. And then when they come back, they're going to switch roles. And then, so the RF doesn't, we don't cross the streams, because the RF downtown is terrible as it is. So just little things like that we've learned are super, super valuable. And you're going to find all that in here. I don't know why our videos aren't attached, but they will be attached here. And in these videos, it actually talks about how to use the Ops Hub web app to your advantage. It talks about the roles of the data specialist and why this role is so important. Again, these are actual videos that you'll have access to. Mission specialist. There's a video speaking with Aaron Wernsman. We call this guy Mother. Mother, you always want a mother on your flight line. Mother is the guy that takes all the information as a mission specialist and communicates back with command and makes sure that everything works well. You're going to see
talking out loud.
Don't need that. You're going through this. You're going to see how MSAT can actually be used on a flight line. This is something that the red team came up with was, hey, if we can use MSAT, so mobile streaming and tracking, or if some of you guys may know about Copilot, use that tablet on your flight line. So as you've got a standoff, you're down away from where the LZ's at. You actually can put an iPad out or a tablet of some sort and be able to just use a video streaming to make sure the flight line's clear as the aircraft are coming in and leaving. Make sure the flight line's clear as cars are going around. MSAT does all that for you. It's like having a portable CCTV camera system. So that's all built into these videos that are supposed to be in here, and they will be very shortly. Takeoff and landings, you're going to have these guys talking about takeoff and landings and how to coordinate your aircraft going in and out. I seriously recommend you guys paying attention to all this. It is some really valuable information. I think there's some closing thoughts here at the very end of it that you'll also find to be very helpful. Just know, though, that this is all going to be accessible to you. Take it and share it. Give it to somebody else. That's all we ask. All right. So with that, let's go back into. So this is what Jason was talking about. Upper left-hand side, this is our George Floyd. This is our protest events. We did participate down the Super Bowl 2 years ago, which was great. We coordinated unmanned response for Hurricane Harvey. You'll see fires over on the right-hand side. This is all, I mean, all this is just multi-aircraft operations, right? It's all of us coming together. It's all of us having to work. There's not one of these events you're looking at that one drone can do it by itself. Not one of these events that 2 drones can do by themselves. You need multiple drones. You got to be able to exchange your people. You've got to be able to keep batteries cool. There's a lot of things that go into this. So these are just some of the examples. You'll see that large-scale sporting events, we got a few listed here. We have Alex Armstrong that's on our call today from Customer Success. Alex does a Marine Corps marathon. Think about how challenging that is in the DC, running through Washington, D.C., which is where this is held at. Disaster response. Every disaster response, think large-scale operation. Civil unrest. I want to highlight LODDs. A lot of people don't think about that, but we're all public safety. How important it is that we are ready for a line of duty death. Jason, do you want to share anything that we had from the most recent LODD here in Austin?
Yeah. So I want to say it was 4 or 5 months ago now.
Sounds right.
About we ended up putting together. We were requested to assist with kind of situational awareness, aiding with traffic flows, as well as trying to capture parts of the service. And this was at Circuit of the Americas, which is the F1 track here in Austin. We're right by the airport. There was a lot of coordination that was taking place. But line of duties is something that you absolutely don't want to be figuring out day of. Plan those things out in advance and be thinking about the techniques you're going to be using, the equipment you're going to be using. We were doing our best to utilize the M30 that has awesome zoom so that the drone is punched back, so that people who are there aren't hearing a drone overhead the entire time. Trying to be discreet. What are the ingress and egress, around and behind, so that we're not taking away from, that ceremony. We're there, as kind of a fly on the wall, trying to capture and assist, being a help, not a hindrance. So that's a big one to start planning for, and know that, work with your public safety partners in your region. Because if something happens to one of your own, chances are your team will want to be present, for that event, and not flying it. So be communicating with everybody and how you guys can engage in that.
To mention that was a moving special event that started downtown with a massive amount of units and people, and then transitioned to OTA. So taking that large footprint and that coverage, picking it all up as one, relocating across town, and then seamlessly jumping back together and doing the same thing. That was a challenge and a good learning experience also.
And I'll say that, all of our experience with our public safety partners that we work with on a regular basis for the UT football games, South by Southwest, ACL Music Festival, you name it. Those are the same partners that we just reach out to, and we just plug and play how we always do. And so all we're working out is the minor logistics of the where, and maybe a few details regarding airspace and things like that. But having this worked out well in advance with your partners is paramount to your success.
Yeah, guys, I don't think this is something that we talk about as a community, but it happens. If it's not going to happen to our organization, it's going to happen to our neighbor's organization, and they're going to need help. In fact, they're going to need help. They're going to need a lot of help, right? Because they are going to be consumed with emotion and everything that goes into this. So to be thinking like honor guard, same thing. How do we pre-plan for what will eventually end up happening in a community that either affects us directly or affects our neighbors? And these drones are a great place. I really like what Jason was saying, establishing corridors, so we're not taking away from that experience. And again, this is to Jason and Nate's point here, is that this is all this has been learned through practicing at these other large scale events. So get your people out, get them to come out and train together, practice together, share your mission codes in DroneSense, use the software the way it's designed to do for the fun stuff, right? For the things that will pay off whenever you have to do something like an LODD or a disaster response, right? Is get your people trained ahead of time. All right. Let's see here. So commonalities. This is out of that list. You can always bet a disaster is going to happen. You can always bet it's going to happen. That's why we all have jobs. They will always require planning, equipment, airspace management. And if you guys have to understand, like, what am I going to do for airspace management? I just learned today, for those that maybe are unaware, that the FAA, through our Special Operations Center, our SOS, is going to an electronic app. So keep that in mind, folks. Electronic app that you can file your SGI, Special Government Interest waivers with, and also TFRs, all being electronically driven. So airspace management with the FAA is about to get a little bit better for us all. Just learned that today. But also being able to coordinate using the software. You got to keep your people trained up. You've got to have logistics in place. I mentioned eat, drink, poop. Like, that is really important information when you guys are talking about having to plan an event. Communications are always going to be a problem, right? We're always going to end up with issues with sharing data. our data is needing to get back and forth to the person that need to receive it. You can always count on them needing you. Our bosses, once they've learned what we can do, they always need you, and you can always count on us having to do this as a team. Period. Interoperability is teamwork. This is just an example of using Ops Hub during the Final Four in Houston. This is just dividing up the zones in Houston. And you can see that we have different teams working in different areas. There's Pearland. We had a lot of different teams showing up here, and you can see that there's 4 different LZs, which means there are 4 different groups of drones just covering that one particular area. I would say when we go to talk about the plan, or we're throwing the planning piece out, one of the first things you have to do is start talking immediately. You cannot wait. This has to be talking about it now. Start planning now for tomorrow. You need an ops plan. And with that, you need to know who's going to be showing up, what they're going to be doing, where you guys are going to be at. Like, pre-plan your launch areas ahead of time. Know your safe places. Jason, you guys have done a lot of work with pre-planning LZs throughout downtown Austin, but also the Greenbelt, right? For areas for launching or wildfire.
Right. Yeah. And so what we've done is it's important to early on figure out those areas that you have bad signal, areas that, figure out if we're going to launch from this point, what's our range? How far can we push out safely before we start, experiencing signal loss, RF interference, things along those lines. Especially in like a downtown region, you're finding, okay, we've identified that this is a city building, so this is going to be easier for us to get a yes on. We also have, relationships with, private entities like certain hotels, like the Hilton, for example, where we establish points of contact early on, so that if and when something, kicks off unexpectedly, we can reach out to that point of contact just with a phone call and say, hey, we need to use your roof. And usually we get a yes within a minute. And so, when we show up, it's expected. Security is already aware. They know, kind of what we look like when we show up. And, they guide us up to where we need to be and give us the keys to the castle kind of deal. So, and to Coit's point earlier with the wildfire stuff, you don't want to be figuring out where is a safe launch point to cover certain areas the day of. We have done pre-planning with our wildfire division, and we've gone out well in advance to figure out what are the areas that we can safely be located, have good range and signal strength, and still get that feedback to command. And we are identifying those areas and permanently placing them, on DroneSense, so that when this thing does happen, command knows where we're going to be, and we know where we're headed to, right away without there being an issue.
It's imperative, guys. This happens over and over again. So be ready for it. Be ready so your entire team knows your ops, how to log into Ops Hub, right? So when they show up and you say, hey, I need somebody to run data, I need to make sure somebody's sitting at this laptop, so we know that the feeds that are coming through that are going to command look good. We need to make sure that we don't have plastic bumping into plastic or into other aircraft. We need to have a roster built out. Like, who are my pilots? Who can assume data specialists? Who can assume mission specialists? Who can be the LZ? Because you're not going to put everybody as the LZ manager. You're going to put your aces as LZ manager. You're going to put your aces as a mission specialist. You're going to have your averages flying the drones. The drones are the easy part, guys. You're going to want your magic video links to make sure they're current, and you're going to distribute all this widely. So, if you're doing ops briefing, go into Ops Hub, cut and paste your QR code, and drop that in your ops plan that you're going to send out for that day's flight. Super easy.
And Coitt, real quick about planning is, as you guys are doing events where it's, planned, it's, more or less mundane, expected, like, football games and parades and things like that. That's the time when there's nothing emergent happening to bring people up from the bench. So if you've got people who have consistently been your pilots and your VOs, put them in the spot where you're like, okay, for the next hour, I'm going to work with you on, being the data specialist. Data specialist, I'm going to move you up. I'm going to want you to sit in the mission specialist role, and we're going to, for the next hour, work with you on that. Keep developing your people and make sure that they are, learning these newer roles, give them the confidence to do it in a safe place so that when the emergent event happens, if they're expected to step up, they can do that. And not to mention for those of you out there who are watching, most of you are probably, program managers or administrators. You need to get to the point where you can take a step back and you're not always the one, assuming that the mission specialist role or air boss.
Great call out. And what I add to that is all of you guys listening is invite your neighbors in. That's something that our Central Texas area is really great at. So we have Austin City Limits. These guys are actually going to South by Southwest here in 2 hours. They're going to go down to South by Southwest and fly for the rest of this week. We have F1, we have UT football games, like all the fun stuff that's out there. And these guys invite our neighbors all the time. I'm going to tell each one of you guys, Jason, I'm going to throw this one out there for you. Those of you guys on this call, Austin Fire, Austin EMS, our DPS, all of our people in our area are ready for you to fly in and come watch these guys or be a part of their program. Like if you want to come out, their door's always open, and do that for your folks locally. Bring them in. You guys bring them in for the fun stuff. And then when this goes down for real, you have a plan. And that's very, very important. ICS, you guys are going to have all this on your recordings, but there are some ISCS forms that are going to be very important for you, and you can find those in this recording. Why isn't? Here we go. Data. This is the only reason that we have these things out flying in the air is to gather information, period. Right? Who cares? Piece of plastic. If you can't get that data somewhere, doesn't matter. You got to get the data somewhere. The data may come to you and you may use your radio to tell the boss what's going on, but you got to get the data in. The data is key. So for those of you that have been issued department phones, don't do it. Don't count on your department phones. That may be all you have right now, but you got to go to the boss and say, hey, boss, do you want good, better, or best? Because good, better might be what I have, maybe, but the best, if you want the best information for these events, you need to have a dedicated hotspot. Your phones are running all these different apps. You guys are receiving calls on them constantly, and they may hold up in your territory today on a blue sky day, but when you're out there working and you're counting on data, like getting data pushed out to somebody, be considering having dedicated data throughputs. Starlink's a great one. Right? There's no phone calls coming through Starlink. It's just data. We got the plum case here. We all know what that means, right? It's pushing it through our SIM cards to a dedicated hotspot. And then we got the picture of the cows and the calves. If you're lucky enough to tie in with somebody at a large scale event, like this is who we were using during the Super Bowl, then have that. But do not use your cell phones. Don't count on them. Don't count on them. I'll say that. You can use them, don't count on them.
I was just going to say, if you don't already have a point of contact with your comm division or IT or whatever, establish that relationship early, because what will happen is they're going to give you the same equipment that they think that everybody else needs. And what they don't realize is we have special needs. We're flying in cellular denied areas. There's a lot of things that, again, going back to planning, bring out the existing equipment you have and test it in the field in those areas and figure out what's working and what's not. And then, give them the feedback that, hey, I need a different solution, or I need something, a little more tailored to, our needs, especially if, command's going to want that feed. We got to have something that's rock solid.
And Jason mentioned, going out to these special events that they do on a regular basis, is go out to one of these special events, check your data then. See how well your connectivity works during that event. And then think about the hurricane, think about the wildfire, think about the protest, when everybody comes in and everybody wants to FaceTime, everybody wants to Facebook Live. That's what's going to happen. So if you can establish good connections during a blue sky day, going at some of these large scale events, that's what you need to have whenever it's going to be game day. Airspace management. Okay, simple. Who's in it? Right? It's simple. Airspace is really not that complicated. We have airspace separation. We have participants and non-participants. The only way you're going to be able to tell who the participants are is if you guys are communicating with one another. Very fortunate that we have this great software that shows all the drones in one space, right? We know who the friendlies are. When we were down at the protest, hey Jay, did we have a lot of folks, lot of folks flying drones that weren't us during the protest?
A ton, consistently.
Yeah. Were they flying at us by chance?
Several were very, antagonistic.
So you got to know who's who, right? And if you can define who's there, and that is using DroneSense to be able to show you, it's being able to coordinate between crewed and uncrewed. Get on Flight Radar. If you guys don't have a subscription to Flight Radar, get on a Flight Radar. Be able to see where the manned aircraft are going. Airspace management. Make sure you have a way to communicate with the crewed aircraft. Because, during our protest, we had news helicopters flying in. And as soon as we established communications on a radio, on a VHF radio, we hit them up on 123.025 on fingers. You guys may know about this. You called the aircraft. We said, hey, listen, you guys stay at 1,200 above. We're going to stay at 400 and below. We're all good. We got plenty of separation. And we worked day in and day out with the crewed aircraft. But you got to know who's in the airspace. And you can only do that by knowing the team who's on the field at that time. Jason, anything to add on that? Was there anything I missed?
The only other thing I would cover is expect that if you're doing a large event, it's going to draw people. If you don't have a TFR and people are legally allowed to fly, that's even more cause for concern, because you need to have, eyes up. You're listening. If you have counter UAS technology, have that up and ready to go. And then, making contact. If you have someone in close proximity to your operation and you can go make face-to-face contact, even if they're doing everything legally and right, just let them know where you are, that you're in the airspace. And on multiple occasions, we partner with, civilian pilots and just say, hey, look, can you do us a favor? We're going to stay at, 300 to 400 feet. If you can get what you need to get at 200 and below, I think will be great. And usually we get a thumbs up. They're happy to help. And I even invite them over to the, to our operation to even check it out. And they, get to geek out with it with us. And it's rare that we have anybody that gives us pushback. But get them involved and make sure that they are aware that we're in the airspace, establish that deconfliction. And the other thing I'll say too for airspace management is, if you have a ground team available that can go and do that for you, and that is their job, so that the people who are violating the TFRs get talked to, the people who are doing everything right, but you still want to do the deconfliction, that's a dedicated group, and preferably people who are spun up on, all the rules and regulations, that they can be that contact team to go and interface with those pilots.
Yeah, I'm just going to repeat what he just said there. Do that. Because having that team go out and talk to them, right? High five with the people that are doing everything the right way, but they're still in the way. Talk to them. Yeah. Don't come down on them. Do what's right. It's an easy win, and people end up moving out of the way for you. Great.
Yeah, make it educational.
So let's talk about training. Practice the way you play. Period. Drop mic. That's it. If you're gonna go out and you know that you're gonna play with multi-aircraft, then you're gonna have multi personnel. You gotta practice that way. You gotta be able to break down your group. You got to have exactly what we talked about before: the RPICs, the VOs, the data specialists, the LZ managers, the mission specialists, module leaders. You got to have that established ahead of time. You got to practice the way you play. Are you able to work with other organizations? A lot of people will say, yeah, I got it. Because we show up on scene, we automatic aid, we mutual aid, we show up, we pull hoses together, we show up on calls where our teams are used to coming into another territory and working with one another. But can you do it sharing a mission code? Can you do that today? Do you know how to share a mission code? Incredibly valuable. Do you have each other's phone numbers? Know each other's faces ahead of time. Incredibly valuable.
And you have a dedicated UAS radio channel, that you use for every mission.
Yeah, man, we're so lucky to have that, Jay. We have dedicated radio channels within our dispatch center, but we also have at a state level. We have interoperability at a state level. So for those that are listening here that maybe haven't thought about that, we have radios that are made for disaster response. Get with those people and work on a dedicated UAS channel. You guys got to have a deep bench, period. right? I understand we have some small organizations. It's just a couple people on your team, but you'll grow that. You'll grow it exponentially whenever it's game day and everybody wants to come in and help out. Make sure that you have a bench because your people are gonna get tired, they're gonna get sick. Somebody's kid at home is gonna be throwing up. You're gonna have to have a bench to help out. So think about this is all this is, guys. It's just in your head. These are things we need to be thinking about as we go forward and build out this system that we're talking about. I love this quote from Dwight Eisenhower. You'll find it difficult to prove that you will not find it difficult to prove that battles, campaigns, and even wars have been won or lost primarily because of logistics. Man, that's pretty simple. It will make or break you, folks. If you don't have food for your people, they get cranky, they get tired. If you don't have a place for them to cool off during a hot day, they're going to get worn out. They're not going to be thinking straight. If you're running them too hard and you don't have enough depth on your bench and they can't process right, you're gonna be hurting yourselves. So very, very important to think about everything you're going to need on the logisticals level, and that comes with your planning piece, right? Hey, so I need a generator. Okay, what am I going to do with that generator? Well, I got to run it, so I got to have fuel. What am I going to do once that generator is running? Well, I got to get the power somewhere. So I got to have an extension cord. Where's that? Who's going to hook up to the extension cord? Well, I got to have chargers. Okay, I've got chargers. Now, where am I going to put them at? I got these batteries I need to put in. Oh, the batteries are super hot, and it's like 117 in Texas right now. So how am I going to cool my batteries off? Well, I have to have a truck running with an AC in there so I can cool my batteries off so I can hook them to the chargers. It goes to the extension cord that has a generator of fuel in it. So all these things are very, very important when trying to build out a plan for a large scale operation. Jay, anything?
Yeah, after every mission, have a debrief and figure out what didn't we have that we needed. Write it down, add it to that logistics plan, add it to that mission ready package. Just make sure you have those debriefs after every one of these. You will learn something of how you can do it better. Every time we do one of these at the end of the night, what went well, what could we have done better? What do we need that we didn't have? Those kinds of things. And the other side of that coin is, hey, are we packing way too heavy? How can we scale down? How can we be more lean and efficient? And things like that. Just have those conversations.
Yeah. 36 floors is a lot of height to go up with all these cases. Solid. All right, communications, both internally and externally, right? So we talked about that a little bit with airspace management. Make sure that you have the ability to communicate with everybody, the people on the ground, the other people in the air. Make sure you have redundancy. We all have our work radios. We also need cells, right? If we need to know how we need to have a fallback in case something goes down. Communications with the incident commander. Well, that's that missionless specialist job, right? Whoever's assuming that role, that dedicated person, incident command, right? We're talking about having a structure here. Not everybody calls the boss. One person. How are we going to communicate with them? Do they want it over a cell? Do they want it over a radio? What are we going to do with the media when they show up? Because the media is going to show up and they're going to want some things. So have a plan ahead of time. Jay, anything?
Yeah, sometimes with these larger events, especially the planned ones, your incident command post might request that you have someone from your team be in there to manage DroneSense, to be that first point of contact for any kind of special requests that come in, things along those lines. And usually that becomes the air boss.
So guys, be thinking about that for your emergency managers. Like when you guys are showing up, emergency managers, EOCs, our emergency operations centers. And that could be mobile or stationary. At the Super Bowl, just to Jason's point, we had somebody in with the FAA in running air ops, right? They had a branch. They were air operations. And you're going to be thinking about, like, who do I want in there? Who can run the computers? Who can communicate over the radios? Not for the basic RPIC. So great call, Jay, on needing to get that put into place. How to maximize this, guys, we're talking about knowing that you have Magic Video Link, knowing that first, making sure it's current, knowing how to run Ops Hub. This is all that data specialist, right? Knowing that you can drop markers from your phone. For those of you got on here, you have, even if you don't have MSAT, which I hope you will get, But if you don't have MSAT, you can still, from your phone, download DroneSense and drop markers that will show up on the map that the drones will see. And then drones can drop markers on the map that you will see on your phone. Okay. And that's really, really important. On your phones, you can see where everybody's flying at. That's incredibly important. APIs, so that's going to be, it says application programming interface. We have the ability to be able to tie in with things like TAC, right? To tie in with Fusus. We have the ability to take our code and be able to drop it into a different system so we get all that information. You want to be able to know your Esri layers and how to bring in geospatial TIFFs and PDFs. We're going to give you an example of what that looks like here in just a second. This is what our map looked like from downtown. This is when Jason talked about us running these protests. This was out on every organization's phone, on everybody's organizations on their phones, their laptops, their drones. This map was built out so we knew where everybody was launching from. We knew which zones they were covering. So think about that. Downtown area, pre-planned. This map still exists. Everybody still uses this map today. We know exactly what hotels we can get on top of that Hilton Zone 5. If I am Hilton Zone 5, I know that I can get to Zone 10. I can cover Zone 4. I can get over to Zone 6 for City Hall, all off of that space. And then you just break it down as many organizations. You break it down with the companies that you have in place, and then you can start managing your airspace effectively. If you look at this is from OpsHub, we got the cell tower built out, right? We know where the RF detectors are at. We know where the helipad's at. So this is all done ahead of time. So this is what a GeoTIFF looks like. This is, Jason, you want to talk about why you mapped this out?
Yeah, so every year, Austin City Limits Music Festival takes over one of our major parks in Austin, and it's just south of downtown in Zilker Park. On the satellite map that we have in DroneSense, it just looks like an open green space that's completely absent of any structures. And so we got a number of our pilots out a day or so before the event, making sure that the vast majority of the structures would be, how it's going to be for the actual event. And we just mapped it and processed it in Drone Deploy. We produced a GeoTIFF that we were then able to put into DroneSense as a mission layer. And then, at the click of a button, now all of our pilots have a view of exactly what they're looking at. And we went ahead and labeled everything as well, so that when command comes to us and says, hey, we've got, a patient in front of the MX stage, we know exactly where to point our cameras, and giving us a lot more situational awareness than we would have otherwise.
So guys, if you're looking at this map right here, this I'll put a play on, I'll hit play as a second. This is from Austin City Limits. So notice all the LZs, everything with an H. Notice the number of drones up. They had 4 at this time. Notice that every one of these little colored boxes or polygons is labeled something. We got the AMEX stage. You could drill down into this. This doesn't have the GeoPDF on it. I think or GeoTIFF, but this is actually what it looks like when you use your mission layers ahead of time to pre-plan a large-scale event. Oh, darn it. I am a terrible host. And let's play this. So you'll see right-hand side, this is all of our drone feeds that are coming up. This is where everybody's at. Notice those cursor on targets. So the point of interest, right? Where the drone is looking. So we can call out very quickly where everybody's at, what they're doing, what they need to have help. Well, if anybody needs help. So if we have somebody that's blacked out at the Tito stage, we know who to call out for that call. This is the planning part. This is what you do ahead of time. If you guys got music events in your area, or parades, or anything that you do on a regular basis, do this. Get it knocked out. Use this as a training opportunity for your team to help build out this. Through our software, you can bring in what's called GeoTIFFs and GeoPDFs. That's what Jason just mentioned, the GeoTIFFs. And all it is putting all those pictures together into a map and dropping that map or that SAT image on top of our base layer. So you would fly over exactly what it looks like at that time. And that's really important. That's how they were able to come in and draw lines around the perimeters for the fences. How they were able to draw all these features in with their mission layers on their drones. This is what a GeoPD looks like. Go, Jay. Sorry.
I was just going to say, and real quick, guys, that's a big wow factor for your commanders in the command post. When we had that up on the screen and they were able to see, like in real time, a bird's eye view of what that looked like, they were really impressed with that feature.
And so, thinking like emergency managers, the incident commanders that may come in and go, but your emergency management, will tell all you guys on this call right now, your emergency managers, they are hired to plan and run, but they're hired to plan. So take this, and if you guys are needing funding so you can get this access into DroneSense, talk to your EMs, talk to your bosses that are saying, yeah, I want this for our next big event. This is what's called a GeoPDF. So the GeoTIFF was Jason and the team going out, taking all those pictures, stitching them together, processing them, dropping them onto our map. That map can be seen on all your phones, all your controllers, all your laptops. You can see that feature. These are GeoPDFs. So these are tagged with geospatial information. So thinking about lat and longs, this sits on your device. It's the GeoPDF. So this GeoPDF in the upper right-hand side, this is through CRG. This is Critical Response Group. They are an amazing group of people that pre-plan all sorts of things. They pre-planned the Super Bowl while we were there. They pre-planned all your elementary schools. And the detail here is absolutely amazing. We know water shutoffs. We know where the roof access is. You can call out doors. Hey, I want somebody to go through door C8. That is in grid F4. I know, just like Battleship, exactly where I'm going. And this is on your cell phone, guys. You drop this in to DroneSense, it's on your cell phone. So everybody on scene has this on their cell phone. I keep repeating that. This lower left-hand side, this is an operations map for a wildfire. I think this was the Dixie fire. And this is on your cell phone, on your drones, on or offline. So even if you don't have cell service or your cell service is garbage, you can still bring these maps, drop them onto your controllers, drop them onto your phones, and they will exist offline. Everybody has them that has access to DroneSense. Super important. Jay, anything on that?
Nope.
All right. I think that is it. All right. So question and answer time. And that puts us right on time here. What do we have for questions? There's 45 folks. You guys want to chat or just open mic it?
Coitt, you got one in the Q&A.
Right. Let's see. I've got a couple. All right, Philip, any suggestions on how to get local agencies to work together? Yeah, call them. Eat food.
Yes, one of the things I would say is that one of the unique things we found with public safety UAS is, unlike a lot of other areas where there are just these natural silos where people don't want to play well together, the UAS community is very unique in that when we just got back last week from in Burnside, Texas, for the Texas Public Safety UAS or Robotics Summit, and everybody's there from emergency managers, EMS, PD, fire, and we're all talking the same language. Everybody's learning from everybody. It's such an open community. And if you don't have that, work to establish that just by reaching out, like Coitt said, to your partners. Meet up, go out for lunch, invite them to your training. If you guys already have an established team, invite them out to your training and say, hey man, we really want to, put the name to the face, and let's start working together. The other thing that kind of is a selling point is that no one agency is going to have enough pilots or enough aircraft, enough training to be able to handle a large scale event like this. Starting to train early, your strength in numbers becomes, a force multiplier, as everybody likes to use that term.
100%. Do things that are fun. Get out and Phil, and do things that are fun and cool. what Jay and team Central Texas Cherry Group does is they're going out and doing fun things. Everybody likes to come into a football game. And guys, I'm talking big and small. So like you got high school football games going on at all times. Great place to practice. High school football game. Let's get our county guys all together. Let's do something cool. We're gonna get some boxes. We're gonna get boxes of nachos, and I'll buy everybody a Coke. And we're all gonna hang out in our local community, practicing the way that we're gonna play on game day. Phil, does that help out? Hey, Alex.
Yeah,
Okay, cool, man.
yeah, that helps. It's just kind of hard to get going in my area. It seems like everybody has their own little program, and well, I don't want to work with them because I don't like those guys, and so on and so forth. And I wish everybody could step back and look at the big picture and be
Get
like,
food, man. Everybody likes
yeah,
food. Bro, all of us, we all like to eat. Bring them in, high five, and get food in front of them, and do some laughing.
yeah,
That's easy for us all. And make sure, guys, that you're doing this with police, fire, EMS, and emergency management. Do not Cops don't just stay with cops. Hose draggers don't just stay with hose draggers. EMs mix it up with everybody else. EMS is all. I'll just say this: EMS is always ready to mix it up. They're always ready to hop in with everybody. So, guys, bring it in and cross pollinate with everybody. Do not keep it just, LE fire, EMS, EM. Bring everybody in together.
yeah.
Hey Matt, did that answer? Did that work for you? You're using Pix 4D? Or the,
You're asking what the software.
I'm sorry. Yeah, software. So, what was the software to do the geo mapping? So, Jay, you want to tell them what all you have? I'm sorry, I didn't read this correctly.
Well, yeah, we've used Pix4D in the past. Currently, we're using Drone Deploy. I mean, you can get the same results from different types of software. Pix4D and Drone Deploy are two of the major players in this space. I would say either one of those, you'll be able to render a GeoTIFF that you're capable, and you don't even need a high res GeoTIFF. In fact, the more high res it is, the longer it's going to take to upload into DroneSense. So either one of those would get you what you need.
And guys, on that, you're going to have information for Jay and I here in a minute. Please reach out to us with more of those questions. Also, get with your account managers, right? Get with your account executives. Make sure that if you have questions on how to get geospatial for DroneSense, you give them a shout and then let them hook you up either with a trial so you can try it or just buy it and run this so you can bring in these maps. So guys, if you scan this, I'm going to go through slides right now. Okay. This slide is going to be for information on the flight line operations. So scan this for me. I'm going to give you a 5 count and then I'm going to move to the next slide. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. Questions. So this is going to be Jason and I. This is going to be our contact information. Okay. I think I put in my chat. I put in the chat my phone number. Call. Hit us up with questions. I loved the questions that we had so far, and we wanna be able to help you guys out more. This is going to be the course credit. So I'm going to give you guys a second to scan this as well. This is going to be so you can actually receive a credit for this, which may be very important for your CEs, for your organization, or to receive credit for taking a class. So be sure to take a picture of this. There'll be 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And last, this is something I'm asking for is, will you guys please scan this and then hit us back and let us know, hey, this training was helpful. This training was terrible. I didn't like anything Coitt was saying. I only want to listen to Jason. That would make sense. Please take a review this course for us and let us know what we can do to make it better, and be able to help provide the material that you guys need here in the future. Andy Olson, thank you, brother. It's good seeing your name on here. I just read the chat. Really appreciate you, dude. Glad to see your name on here. And then, yeah, Matt, it's true. We got to mix it up. PD trains with fire all the time, and we're very close. That's it, man. That's family. That's our community, and that's why we're all here doing this. Anything else, guys? That took us right to the hour. Anybody got anything? Open mic, go with it. All right. Well, that is easy then. With that, let's go ahead and break from this class. We really appreciate you guys joining this. We'll have this every 2 weeks. All right. Every 2 weeks, we're going to have class. Be sure to hop on for the next class, and we will be talking to you soon. Take care, all.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.